Now, the rest of the story.
Welcome back to Wisconsin. That's right, Wisconsin. Where, if you don't like the weather, just wait a couple hours and it'll change. If you guys remember one of my more recent videos, or the majority of my most recent videos, we had blue sky, sunny, high 60-degree weather, and the grass is really starting to take off. Well, this stuff started at about 7:30 this morning. If you guys, it is currently 10 to 4. Calvin is currently curled up in my truck with the engine running because he's pretty well froze out. He's soaked, but I say my fingertips are froze too. We just got done feeding cattle, doing all of our chores, made sure everything was bedded down properly, just because it's basically January weather. I mean, I would really like to be able to tell you that right now, that this video is just a lost and found video that I had that I thought I'd throw up. It's not. This is April 27th right now, and everything is cozied away in the machine shed out of the weather. And the birds moved back in on us because the 82 was clean, the 76 was clean. They got my window there and they got the hood there. The 46 I think is probably their next target because that really hasn't been bothered too much yet. The corn planter is hooked up and cleaned off, or it was. Oh yeah, the birds did get the hood. I just got to go through, and I got interrupted last night. I was starting to put the wiring on for the globe and make a lot of the final connections. I do have a couple things in the planter to be done yet, but as far as the weather, if it does decide to straighten out where we could actually start planting, we could be up and running in, maybe an hour, maybe, and that includes putting fuel in the tractor. My goals are in the next day or two here, because we didn't do anything in the shed today. We were really just running around trying to make sure that all of the animals are okay and warm and all that. But the goal is to have that ready to go pretty well as close to 100% as I can get it in another day or two. We won't be planting probably for a week, so I think it's safe to say I can at least go back to posting some videos. It will be well into May at this point, I'm feeling. We'll probably be closer to like the 5th to the 10th of May before we really start planting. Not exactly what I would want to do. It's not exactly ideal, but it's not the end of the world. Now, if we get to May 15th and we haven't gotten any corn in the ground yet, you guys might not see me at all because YouTube gets pretty well thrown to the complete back burner as far as taking any time to really worry about doing videos, because I would have liked to have been planting the 25th, which was 2 days ago right now, and I'm glad we weren't. I mean, I know guys were putting corn and beans into the ground before this weather. Myself, I could understand doing it if you didn't know that this was coming. Like if we were planting a week ago, I mean, when this wasn't even in the forecast. But for us, we were planning on starting yesterday, and knowing that there was a 100% chance that we were gonna get this, I much would rather keep our corn and soybeans under shelter. Mainly because, yes, we can plant like oats and small grains. I mean, oats actually thrive off of getting a little bit of snow on them. But the big thing I'm worried about, and a lot of people are worried about, is it is currently 32 degrees out and snowing. Tomorrow it's supposed to be down in the mid-20s. So it's safe to say that all this moisture that is coming down right now, it's cold. It's not a warm shower. It's not a warm snow. I can't believe I actually have to say that. The last thing you want is for your corn seed, your soybean seed. Soybean, I've been told, aren't nearly as susceptible to it as corn, but generally we start planting corn first. The last thing you want is your corn seed to have its first drink of water be a cold, almost freezing sip of water, because the problem is it's going to affect its growth and everything else starting from then on. It's just going to be all hard on it. It won't be able to really take off properly, as opposed to if it was like a 60-degree, nice, warm spring plant flower growing rain. And myself, as much as I would have liked to have been planting earlier than this, I really feel like we dodged a bullet. We probably would have been okay a week ago when we were getting the warmer weather, but a couple days ahead of this, I'd be biting my fingernails off right now. So that's just something the stress that I really wouldn't really want. So the corn planter is out. We don't have everything out in our winter positions where we usually park them, but somebody was asking if the combine was still around, and I do have my flashlight here. The combine is still tucked away back in the corner. The corn head is currently on it. The soybean head is down in another shed. I don't know. The person that asked me might have been a new subscriber, a new viewer, but I think it was pretty obvious that the combine was in the back of the machine shed. The harrow is over here. It typically isn't. That is out at another farm. See, we got equipment. We got a few places we can kind of tuck stuff in out of the way. The only thing that I have, like the 630, we pulled it out and we really didn't need to, I guess, at this point in time. I was planning on using it for kind of working some, not soybean stubble, some waterways in. And that didn't happen because I had it on the 7600 ready to run, and we ended up turning around a couple hours later, hooking the 82 onto the VT and going and seeding oats. We have all of my dad oats are in. My brother Ryan, it's kind of a cluster around here. Oh, crap in a cracker. Maybe I won't be getting the planter ready. See, Ryan, I don't want to say what Ryan's up to, but maybe getting carried away with that isn't such a good idea. I got time. We got time. Worst comes to worst, I'll be out here in the middle of the night getting things ready for planting if we knew we wanted to start the next day and we weren't 100% ready. That's what it was last year. We put all the newer lights on the 4640. We put all 8 new lights on, and I was out here till 10:30 the night before planting because it was a last minute, like the day before we were going to start planting, that Dad decided he wanted to put them on. So I went through and I started like 8 o'clock that night and went through and had an electrical issue. I had a bad ground and I had to go through and re-diagnose that because they all worked up to a certain point. But everything works great on it now, and I do recommend these LEDs over the standard halogen lights. I mean, the lights in the 46 actually outperform the lights in the 82. Maybe we should consider switching them out for something a bit brighter. The 7600, the 4 cab lights on top, I have 2 replacements for the top. I'm gonna put 1 LED on each side, and my goal is I'm gonna start going through and changing the lights out in the 7600. At least that is the plan. I guess you can't really say that I didn't get chisel plowing done before winter, because not taking my brother's acres that he wanted to chisel plow yet, which isn't a lot, but at least as far as my ground and my dad's ground that we were planning on chisel plowing, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'd say I got them chiseled before winter. I mean, maybe not in the calendar. I mean, technically it's spring, but I don't know. Snow in the fields after I got everything chiseled up. I'd say that's a win for Travis. Oh well. Yeah, anybody that is wondering why I was chisel plowing so late at night, I didn't really think that was that big of a deal. Most people actually relate to it. I like to work after dark to a certain degree. I like doing field work after dark. I mean, just because with the lights and everything, you can see what you're doing. You're not going to catch me out making fence at 10 o'clock at night. But typically on the days where I was running all night, when I was saying I wasn't starting until 7, 8 o'clock at night, it's because we were working on other projects throughout the day. So Ryan and I are here full time. My dad has a full-time job, but he is here every other couple days. So when all 3 of us are around, there are different tasks and jobs. Ooh, it's starting to pick up too. There are different tasks and jobs that need to be done around here that we need all of us around to really work on. Be it anything from hauling manure to moving cattle to checking running cattle through the chute. a lot of like the grunt work around here where we need more than just one set of hands doing it. And that is typically how I end up working all night. It's not that I won't start in the field early in the morning and then run late too. I mean, I'll do that if I have the option. But a lot of the times is when we got everybody here, everybody needs to help on a certain task. So what happens is that we'll do that all day, and then I'll still be wide awake because I have Mountain Dew coursing through my veins. I guess you could call it determination also. Just for wanting to get done with chisel plowing and spring tillage in general. I mean, I'll do the same thing working ground down and planting corn and cutting hay. I mean, it's just my nature. But that's really how I was ending up working all night or late into the early mornings like I was, is because I was starting at 7 or 8 that night after helping around here between the different farms all day. And it was just honestly the earliest I could get into the tractors and run. I mean, I've done it in the past all the time. I've cut hay at 2 o'clock in the morning before. I've harrowed. Actually, I don't think I've really worked ground or harrowed like soybean ground down or anything like that too late in the morning. But same thing with planting. I planted soybeans last year all the way up till about 4 o'clock in the morning. I managed to get rock fill done because I started at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I managed to get all the beans at my place done. The beans, because I went from my place, which we actually refer to as British. So we went from British, and then I came up here to Rockville, and I was by myself because I had Ryan working the ground ahead of me, and he ran until like midnight or so, 12:30. There was a thunderstorm coming, which it wasn't one of those gully washers, but it was one of those, you're going to be shut down for a couple days kind of deal. And then as far as soybeans go, corn too, get it in the ground before a nice rain shower, and it'll get that seed up and running right away. Because memory serves me right, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that knows this, but I think the statistic is a corn seed needs to absorb a quarter of its weight in water before it'll start growing. I want to say it's a quarter. It may have been 3/4. A simple Google search probably would answer that question. But same with soybeans. Soybeans swell up and then they start growing, such as they do. Soybeans are kind of weird actually. If you watch how they grow, they expand and then they push themselves out of the soil. It's actually kind of interesting. So yeah, I like working at night. That's a big thing also. That's to why I do it like I do. As far as the headlands go, I was getting an awful lot of questions about why do I do the headlands first. I do not always do the headlands first. For the farm that I was at, it was just simpler, just for the amount of turning and how the field was shaped. It just was a little bit easier to know exactly where I wanted to stop. So that's why I was doing the headlands first. It was honestly just preference. It's not that I do the headlands last every single time I chisel plow. It's just how I was doing it on the ground I was on. I don't do it like Rockville. I don't do headlands first. Ryan's place, I don't do headlands first. Our satellite farms, well, there's a couple spots there I do the headlands first. But typically it's just like when you're doing a lot of odd shaped pieces, it was just simpler to know that I have to pull up to this point and then I'm done. So it's not a big, deep reason. I mean, a lot of people think I was stupid for doing it like that. Honestly, you do you and I'll do me. So it definitely isn't killing me doing it the way I do it. So the 3 workhorses are here and waiting out the storm. The 4020 is not forgotten. She's just tucked back in out of the way because we really don't need her, at least for a couple of days again. So I'll give you one last good look of these 3, the Gator, our mini truck. And here's to hoping that this does not last very long. And I checked the weather forecast and it is going to last for quite a while yet. It's supposed to last like at least coming down this heavy for at least another 3 hours. And the thing is, it's just making a muddy mess because the ground, it's hitting the ground and then honestly it's melting from the bottom up because it really isn't adding up as much as you really think it would for how much of a whiteout situation it's getting. So with that, I gotta go and get my hands warmed up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. This is Wisconsin. All right. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.